At this time, I would like to reconvene the regular board meeting. Clerk of the board, please call the roll again.
Solis?
Present.
Segura? Pike?
Here.
Hall?
Present.
Tarantino?
Here.
Janney? Here. Irizarry?
Present.
Thank you. So now we will hold a moment of silence and then the Pledge of Allegiance. And I'll ask Mr. Tarantino to lead the pledge today. And I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you and welcome, everyone. The board met in closed session preceding this meeting to discuss the following issues. 1. Student expulsions, suspended expulsions, expulsions, reinstatements. Education Code Section 48916 through 48918. Students were identified by ID number. Number 2, public employee discipline, dismissal, release, reclassification, reassignment, resignation, transfer. Government Code Section 54957. Conference with legal. Number 3, conference with legal counsel. Existing litigation, paragraph 1 of subdivision D of Government Code Section 54956.9. Number 4, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, paragraph 2 of subdivision D of Government Code Section 54956.9. Number 3, conference with labor negotiator, Government Code Section 54957.6. Number 6, public employee performance evaluation, Government Code Section 54957. The board took the following action. Moved by Tarantino, seconded by Solis, to accept the Administrative Hearings Panel's recommendation to approve the expulsion of one student with a vote of Hall yes, Pike yes, Segura absent, Solis yes, Tarantino yes. Moved by Hall, seconded by Tarantino, to approve the release from assignment of one certificated management employee with a vote of Hall yes, Pike yes, Segura absent, Solis yes, Tarantino yes. Moved by Hall, seconded by Tarantino, to approve the release from assignment of one certificated management employee with a vote of Hall yes, Pike yes, Segura absent, Solis yes, Tarantino yes. Moved by Pike, seconded by Solis, to approve the request for leave of absence for one certificated employee with a vote of Hall yes, Pike yes, Segura absent, Solis yes, Tarantino yes. Moved by Pike, seconded by Solis, to approve the request for leave of absence for one certificated employee with a vote of Hall yes, Pike yes, Segura absent, Solis yes, Tarantino yes. Moved by Pike, seconded by Solis, to reject the claim against the district employee and board members from Ricardo B's with a vote of Hall yes, Pike yes, Segura absent, Solis yes, Tarantino yes. At this time, I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda for the June 11th, 2018 regular board meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved. I'll second.
I have a motion by Mr. Solis, second by Mr. Pike. Call for the vote, please.
Solis?
Yes.
Pike?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes?
Tarantino?
Yes.
Motion passes 4 yes, 1 absent.
The board is very honored to recognize one of our community partners for their scholarship program to benefit district students. This year, Community Health Group launched a scholarship program and they received 48 applications from 11 district schools. They decided to award a scholarship to every applicant, with the top applicant at each school receiving $1,500 and all others receiving $500 for a total of $40,000. We are extremely proud of Community Health Group for giving back to our students in this generous way. We would like to thank and honor the CEO from Community Health Group, Ms. Norma Diaz, who is a Montgomery High graduate, and the board president, Mr. Al Vitella, for this outstanding program. Would you come up to the podium?
Yeah, I do. I think I've been waiting my whole life to say thank you to you guys. I graduated from Southwest Junior High, and I graduated from Montgomery High School, and I am the product of a work experience program that this district had. I was the only person that volunteered, and I've been there for 42 years now, and I'm now the Chief Executive Officer, but I went from being the lowest paid employee to being the highest paid employee in the organization.
Nice.
And I wish you had more programs like that, but I now run Community Health Group, and we are a health plan here in the South San Diego, and we have about 300,000 members, and I have over 300 employees, and our company is now worth over $1 billion. So you have somebody who is a product of Southwest Junior High and Montgomery High School running the organization, and I promised myself and I promised Mrs. Clark at Montgomery High School that if I was ever in a position to give back, that I would, and I'm very excited that Mr. Vitella, my boss for the past 36 years, was one of the first ones to support me. He was actually a coach at Bonita Hilltop High School, so I'll let him say.
Good evening. It gives me great pleasure to be here and address the board. And as Norma has indicated, not only am I the founding member and board president of our corporation, I actually coached for Sweetwater School District. I was coach at Hilltop High School for about 11 years. Then I moved over to Eastlake, and I had 2009, 2012 championships out there in football and track. So I do have my rings for that. But I've enjoyed it. I enjoyed going back to school. I enjoy seeing the students. I run into the students all the time. Ran into one just the other day. He says, "Coach Vitella, how you doing?" And it gives me a great honor to do that and a pleasure to do that. The kids are the future of San Diego, the future of the world. And it is a great privilege for us to be able to help these students and continue their education. So again, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We want you to, hello, come on back. We want to take a picture with you. But what was also kind of interesting was one day about 5:30, one of our custodians, Marcella, said, "Oh, I found this envelope outside the main office," because the doors were locked, right? So she brought it in. It was a letter from Norma. And the first thing she said was, "I just heard you on the radio talking about Sweetwater Union High School District and the 32 schools that we have, blah, 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 blah." I went, "All right." She goes, "So I thought, I should write you a letter and let you know what we've been doing, supporting students." And so $40,000 to our students this past year, first time ever they've done it. What a great opportunity. So thank you so much for reaching out to us and letting us know. Thank you. We're going to take a picture.
Great. All right. Everybody. There we go. Take a couple. 1, 2, 3. One more. Got it. Thank you very much.
The board is also very honored to recognize the Phil and Alice Kreeser Educational Foundation for their very generous scholarship program. This foundation was formed in the past 31 years. The foundation has awarded approximately $750,000 in scholarships. Each year, the 8 board members selects the recipients based on who they feel is the most qualified to receive the funds, whether it be for the student's circumstances, academics, athletics, or any other person you brought with you. Hello.
So thank you for having us all. We're very pleased and very honored that you would honor us in such a grand fashion. My parents did found this foundation in 31 years ago, and it was my mother's dream that something be given back to the Sweetwater Union High School District, of which I am a graduate of which Lisa is a graduate of. Unfortunately, Mr. Warren is not a graduate, but we'll give him, at least he's working in the district, so that's good. My husband, Mike Perdels, is the president of the foundation. Unfortunately, he is ill right now, and he cannot be able to be here. So he asked me to come so that I can represent the family, which I am always happy to do, and the family is very honored to have this award because it was 30 years ago I stood with my parents in front of the board then to thank them for honoring my parents, for acknowledging them also as starting this foundation, and it's my honor to be here again, and thank you very much for doing this. We really appreciate it, and we just absolutely love everything that goes on within regards to honoring the students in the district. They are wonderful. This is Lisa Johnson. She is a board member, and Harvey Warren, who is another board member, and the other person is Harvey's wife, Cindy, who's a very good friend, but she's not on the board, so she didn't want to stand. And actually, I'm not on the board either, so I don't know why they asked me to talk, but anyway, they did, so here I am. So anyway, but thank you again. We really appreciate it.
Yeah. Would the others like to make a statement? You can if you would like.
Oh, thank you. Well, I just like to say thank you. I'm always thrilled to represent the Creaser Foundation, and I'm thrilled to be a part of it. Being a graduate from Hilltop High School, and we just had our 40th class reunion last year, or a few months ago, so you all do the math if you want to. And I love to tell the story that Jan's husband, Mike, was one of my teachers. So when people see us at an event, I always say he's older than me because he was my teacher. But truly, yeah. I am really honored to be able to be here to represent us. And Mike said, would you go as a successful student? So I appreciate that he feels that I'm successful. But I always tell the kids it's really important that you give back to your community. So I love this opportunity to give back to my community. And I've served in many different things in my community, and my vocation currently, I'm the president and CEO for the NTC Foundation down at Liberty Station, but I do a lot of things here in the community, and I also am the proud parent of an Eastlake graduate who is on her 4th master's and 1st PhD. So you all really do great work, and I'm thrilled to be able to support the students through the Creaser Foundation. Thank you.
I'd like to put my 2 cents in as well. I feel very honored to be a part of this foundation and giving back to the community in this way. I was a district teacher and administrator for 33 years and enjoyed that experience very much. And I like the direction the board is going now, and I appreciate all that you do for this community. And I guess it's a team effort, and so we appreciate you supporting us, and we certainly want to reciprocate, support you as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Got it.
That was a great moment. 2 moments that honor people who are really doing something special for our schools and our students. And now we will have an update from our superintendent.
Well,
Dr.
thank you.
Jenny.
Thank you very much. Welcome to our second to the last board meeting of the 2017-18 school year. Before I get started, I actually want to acknowledge Dr. Louisa Walker, who's sitting in the audience. This will probably be one of the final board meetings she attends. She's retiring, or she retired as of last Wednesday, right? After 17 years in the district, and she and her husband are going to be just traveling. And so I said, you should come to one last board meeting, and so she's here. We know her well. All right, so let's start off with some student and staff recognitions. Congratulations to CIF Female Athlete of the Year, our very own Gloriana Hinojosa from Eastlake High School. The CIF, did you get that? CIF Player of the Year, not just of the spring sports or winter or fall, it's of the entire year, right? She played soccer, lacrosse, and field hockey, always in the goalie section, always goalie. And so she's the female CIF Athlete of the Year, so that's awesome. And the CIF Female Coach of the Year is also from our district. The boys volleyball coach from Montgomery High, Debbie, I think her name is Isaiah. She won CIF Female Coach of the Year, which is pretty awesome. So congratulations to both of them. And then the last time we met, I talked about all of the other CIF winners for the spring, so we have some new news, updated news. There happened to be, I guess, an error was found in the CIF girls track and field calculations. And so now that means that at least Olympian High School is now co-champions, CIF co-champions. So congratulations to Coach Michael Adkins and the Olympian girls, so that's cool. Yeah. They're at least co-champions. They may be champions, but at least they're co-champions. And last weekend, we have some, very special people in this very audience. Last weekend, Dr. Glover and Dr. Winters finished the Rock and Roll Half Marathon. Isn't that great? That is great. But I hear that they finished way behind Suhai AP of ASB, Alex Salazar. Oh, okay. Because it's way to go. It's not whether you, it's not when you finish, rather that you just finish, and they did. And so proud of you all. So congratulations. We also had a strong finish to the year with high school graduation ceremonies and middle school promotions. Those all went well. And today we started summer school at almost all of our schools, with the exception of 2. The Montgomerys are not hosting summer school this year because they're getting a new paint job. And so we hope to hear more about summer school, but it seems there were a lot of kids that showed up that hadn't pre-registered, but that's good news. That's good news. Also, here's a short list. I say a short list because it's not everything we've accomplished this year, but it's a short list of what we think we've accomplished there. And remember that it takes a team to make this happen. So as many of you know, we updated our mission and beliefs to align with our board and LCAP goals. There you can see them up there. We increased our A through G completion rates to 55% this year. We increased the CTE sports medicine pathways to all of our high schools, I think, this year, all of them, right? We increased our Compact for Success applications from 2190 last year to 2246 this year. There's HVAC in all of our classroom and other learning spaces. We know that. Bond Sale 3 netted us approximately $28 million for school facilities improvements. We're going to be hearing about that pretty soon. We received an I've heard either $1 or $5 million grant from the National Science and Math Institute to train our AP teachers and also provide regional study sessions for our students. And there's more. We established a middle school robotics league this year. Along with that, we had our first underwater robotics competition. We completed our English learner master plan. We increased the Avid Excel sections from 13 sections to 34 sections this year at our middle schools. Our VAPA enrollment increased from 19,067 students last year to 22,585 students were enrolled in a VAPA class this past year. That's pretty amazing. That's more than half of our students in our district. The teacher induction program worked with 253 first and second year teachers with 140 graduates this year. As you know, we've hosted 3 safety forums in collaboration with our law enforcement partners. We are the first unified games district in Southern California. We opened our Wellness Athletic Center, although the grand opening is going to be in August, in collaboration with Southwest Sports Wellness Foundation, SDSU, and UCSD. It's really fabulous. Can't wait till you come see it. Our transportation department provided 5,997 trips for athletics and extracurricular activities this past year. That's a lot of miles. We had a 50% increase, 50% increase in middle school athletics with over 1,200 participants this past year. We just got word that our Sweetwater Cares Foundation just received our EIN, and we are now official, and we'll get more information out to everybody on that. We hosted a very monumental joint school boards meeting with all of our South County school districts, including Southwestern Community College. We live stream our board meetings, and since November, we've had 2,264 views. Everybody wave. There you go. We hosted our second annual State of the District event. We provided equity culture trainings as part of year 2, which is leading and working toward equity, and there's more to come. We've increased our mental health clinicians to 13 staff. We hired our first RISE teacher. We conducted 12 master planning meetings. We added CFDs 19 and 20. We had a new data center installed and operational. We adopted a 3-year student staff calendar in collaboration with SEA and CSEA, SCGA. We increased our social media presence, growing from 5,500 followers to 7,388 followers on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. That's pretty cool. We've created a fraud hotline, soon to be launched, and we have had positive budget certifications at all of our interims, not only this year, but every year. So much thanks. And that's just a short list, right? A short list. That's why we're tired, right? That's why we're tired. But it doesn't happen with one person. It doesn't even happen with a small group of people. It happens with a large group of people. And I really want to thank our leadership team, Moises Aguirre, Ana Maria Alvarez, Diana Carberry, David Della Casada, Joe Fulcher, Tom Glover, Karen Michael, Manny Rubio, Dan Winters, and our Board of Trustees for those accomplishments. We all really push each other's thinking. Many times we're in not deep disagreement, but we have conflicts, right? Because we're pushing each other's thinking, but there's no other team, in my experience, as strong intellectually or has the emotional intelligence as this Sweetwater team. And it's even more powerful when we're in collaboration with our administrators, our teachers, our counselors, and our support staff. So we believe that we are Sweetwater strong. We've made a lot of gains and progress over the past 3 years, and this is just a sample of some of those accomplishments this past year. So congratulations and thank you all. Just one final and sad note. Yesterday, Elizabeth Cogdell, longtime educator, administrator in Sweetwater, passed away peacefully with her children at her bedside. Ms. Cogdell was a teacher, a counselor, an assistant principal and principal in Sweetwater for over a 26-year time period. She worked at National Junior, Granger Junior, Montgomery Junior, Southwest High, and Castle Park High. And even after she retired, she remained engaged as our academic decathlon coordinator until just about 3 years ago, and she was 90 years old. So about 3 years ago, right, was when Mary Lawler took over, but up until that point in time, Liz Cogdell was doing that. So she will be remembered fondly by so many of us, and so we just wanted to share that sad news. So rest in peace, Liz Cogdell, and thank you all for the opportunity to serve and support you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jenny. And now we'll have a report from our student board representative, Isaiah Irizarry.
Thank you. I'd like to ask, how's everyone doing today? I'm doing well because school is finally over and I don't have any stress. But as summer break begins, it's time to unwind and reflect on last year, but also kind of look forward towards the future and what we can become as a district. And that's why, well, actually for most of the year, but it's only recently that I have time to actually go in depth into this. I believe that we should, as a district, start really pushing financial literacy education towards our students and I am aware that there are financial algebra classes, but I'm talking about making it something that's not just a math class, but something that teaches us very important life skills for these students as they enter the real world, and something that's mandatory, so that these students make sure that every single student who receives a diploma from our district is properly educated in what it takes to be financially stable in today's world. So I'm going to read you these statistics about financial literacy in the United States, which unfortunately are pretty depressing. Only about 40% of adults prepare a budget with expenses and income. Just 40% of adults prepare a budget. 43% of adults worry about insufficient funds. 26%, 1 in 4, do not pay their bills on time. 40% of adults rate their own personal finance knowledge as a C, D, or F. And of high school seniors who were taking a financial literacy quiz provided by this organization called Jumpstart, over a 10-year period, the average score was just 53%. And California finally is one of the only 7 states who do not have any sort of financial literacy state standards within their curriculum. So what this means is that unfortunately high school kids are entering the world without any sort of knowledge or grasp of how to be stable with their finances and how to manage their money, and that's why a lot of them often wind up in the pitfalls of debt and bankruptcy. And the 2008 financial crisis can probably be seen as an example of this, because a lot of it had to do with people taking out bad loans, things like, 10% interest, that's low, and what happened was that people couldn't pay back, they eventually went into debt, the housing bubble burst, and everything went downhill from there. So as a district, especially because our state has very few, if none, standards relating to financial literacy, we could really become pioneers within California and begin to equip our students with the tools needed for success in the real world. Again, I still have more research to do in this, but I kind of drafted like a rough outline or framework of what a curriculum could potentially look like. I also found curriculum materials online, so I kind of have to look more into that. But, you could have some of the basics, like your needs and your wants, opening a bank account, what is credit, how to manage credit cards and debit cards, checking, taxes, loans and interest, and then you can also have more advanced investments, like stock markets, real estates, and bonds and options. That way people know, how can I make more money or have supplemental streams of income on the side in case something goes wrong in my job or in case we have a rainy day, et cetera, et cetera. So that's just kind of ideas that I was floating on. I'm still working on it, but that's just something that I wanted to discuss, especially when it comes to, preparing our kids to the real world, which I believe every school district should do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Irizarry. Yes.
So we know that we have one more meeting with Mr. Irizarry this month. Just wanted to remind everybody. And I forgot to mention Jenny's name. Somehow I didn't read her name off my list, but she's part of that team. Sorry, Jenny. Just want to make it official. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gianni. And thank you, Mr. Irizarry. The board members received a copy of the DLAC report. Are there any questions from the board? No. Is the DLAC representative here this evening? I have a question. Yes, would you? Okay, thank you. I'll reserve my question for Dr. Janney and communicate it with the president of DLAC next time. Thank you for being here. Welcome you. So, we'll now conduct a public hearing and gather feedback for the proposed 2018-19 Local Control Accountability Plan. That's item D1. I will now open the public hearing. Are there any speakers?
I have no speakers, Madam President.
The public hearing is now closed. And now we're on item D2. I will conduct a public hearing and gather community feedback on the Sweetwater Union High School District's preliminary 2018-19 proposed budget. I will now open the public hearing. Are there any speakers?
I have no speakers.
The hearing is now closed. This is the point on the agenda where members of the public may address the board on any matter not on the agenda and have only 3 minutes each to do so. A reminder that the Board of Trustees cannot legally take action or respond to matters not posted on the public agenda, but we will refer the matter to the superintendent's office for review and report, and we thank you for your cooperation. Clerk of the board, will you please read the items being pulled from the consent agenda?
Oh, no. We're not at the consent agenda yet.
Oh, sorry.
I do have speakers, though. Kathleen Cheers?
Sorry. I just kept reading.
I'd like to begin by wishing you every happy retirement. I remember you in the Brand and Gondra days. Oh, you should have seen her back then. Last week marked the end of an era. 41 years of children and 2 grandchildren have gone through this district for me. There are no more grandchildren. But that does not mean I'm going away. As a school site council member, I attended the Montgomery High School graduation. I arrived very early and watched Montgomery and the Montgomery staff prepare. VIP names on chairs, cold water for guests, flower containers taped down, students lined up and frisked, all with smiles on their faces, willing to go the extra mile to make the day special. Unsung heroes, each and every one of them. As I watched the students, as their names were called, including my granddaughters, I thought of the last board meeting and the Castle Park High School students in the ACE Mentor program. I did some research, you know me, and found this program began back in 1995. Did you all know that? 1995. I am urging you trustees to use the expertise of Mr. Segura and be the leaders we elected you to be. Form a trades program, look for grant dollars. Electricians, plumbers, craftsmen are needed. Recent conversations have alluded to a loss of student population going to charter schools. Think about this. Consider the number of students you would draw if we had a curriculum that offered a true trades program, interfaced with the curriculum needed to graduate. We could partner with Chula Vista Elementary and have it go from, let's say, 5th grade through our 12th. I'm not the only community member that is calling for this. Many of the parents there at the graduation were saying those kids that were not going to college, were not going to go to Southwestern, you know, what were they going to do? You know? Many, many more see the need and are looking to you all for the innovation to make it happen. I have no doubt this would be a win-win. Win number 1, good paying careers for our students not seeking college. And win number 2, a bursting student population that could go outside of our district. We would get a lot of those charter school kids. Think about it. And some of them would make even more money than all of you doctors in the room. Thank you very much.
Nick Marinovich?
This is out of no disrespect to how I'm dressed, okay? I just didn't have a chance to be Superman when I caught in traffic. Guess I could do when I had Little League, I used to actually change from a tie to my whole outfit while I was driving up the freeway, which is, anyway. A couple of things I wanted to just talk with you about. In this June election, these are sort of random thoughts, but wanted to communicate to you as soon as possible. Of the 38 bond measures that were up before the voters in June, statewide relative to school bonds, 30 passed. So that's a pretty good percentage, almost 75, a little over 75%. And over the coming couple weeks, I'll do a little bit farther look into why the ones that did not pass, what seems to be the reasons why they didn't pass, because we have, of course, the districts in the context of the California League of Bond Oversight Committees. Secondly, I'm meeting tomorrow, and I know, and I'll be also meeting with Dr. Aguirre regarding, I'm meeting tomorrow with the San Diego County Taxpayers Association on another matter, but see where their process stands in terms of reviewing submittals for their approval or not. And it's kind of a decision that, it's probably a rather labyrinthian process to apply to them if you do decide you want to get their position on something. Finally, and probably most importantly, and it's kind of like the mantra between now and that decision that you will have in August is, and it's kind of hard to conceptualize because you're dealing so much with the day-to-day things as a member of the Board of Trustees and the brush fires and all the stuff you have to deal with, graduations and all that, going to have enough chairs and all that kind of stuff, graduation. It's really what you set in motion today was like 20 years. I mean, it's such a huge impact well beyond your term in terms of just the basic philosophy of what you do, like doing basic infrastructure improvements with schools. And I'm speaking from professional experience now in projects like my colleagues, like 20 years later, where are they? And ones that were planned well seem to end up well, and ones that had haphazard planning seem to not end up well. I mean, it's pretty simple. So the upfront planning on these projects is so important. Which leads me to my final comment is thank God for Dr. Aguirre and his leadership. And I think I wish I had his patience and just everything about him is the glue that's going to hold this together, along with Janaea and all the other staff members that have built it up to this point. And one in the back of the room that's counting the days probably. So I just wanted to relay that, and we're here to hopefully work together positively as we move forward. Thank you. Great Fu Manchu mustache.
You're not having an attitude, are you?
No. I used to have one like that in high school.
Carolina Caldera.
Buenas tardes tengan todos ustedes. Ok. Perfecto.
Good afternoon. I'm Carolina Caldera.
Soy representante de la Escuela Chula Vista Miro por parte del comité DIPAC.
I'm a representative of Chula Vista Middle for the DPAC.
Y hasta precisamente el día 31 de mayo recibí una notificación por parte de la presidenta de ILAC en donde me era relevado mi nombramiento como miembro de ILAC, que viene siendo, era la alternante de DILAC.
And as of May 31st, I received notification that I'm no longer a member or an alternate for the DLAC, and I was a representative for the ELAC.
Mi propósito de estar en esa junta es para poder informar a todos de la gravedad de la situación que he vivido durante todo el tiempo que he estado participando dentro de las juntas tanto de DILAC como de DIPA.
My purpose of being in the meetings is to share with everybody my experiences as I've been in the meetings of the DLAC and the ELAC.
Tengo en qué fundamentar la información que estoy proporcionándoles a ustedes. De hecho, desafortunadamente mi intención siempre ha sido colaborar como lo establece prácticamente el Código de Educación y los nuevos estándares.
My purpose is to always participate in accordance to the Education Code, and I have all the facts or the proof of everything that I've stated.
Y sobre todo lo establecido por el LCAP en cuanto a la meta 3 de la participación de los padres en cuanto a poder apoyar en la educación a nuestros hijos.
And also in regards to the LCAP and Goal 3 and supporting our students as parents.
Y dentro del mismo sistema educativo.
And within the educational system.
La cuestión es de que desafortunadamente los estatutos de DILAC fueron cambiados de una manera que los padres de familia, los alternantes, no participaran.
The bylaws for the DLAC would change so alternates could not participate as voting members.
En cada junta, desafortunadamente, fue demasiado una situación muy penosa para mí, porque aun cuando no actué en su momento, junta tras junta fui discriminada por parte de la doctora Pérez, directora de programas estatales y federales.
I was discriminated against by Dr. Perez, Director of State and Federal Programs, meeting after meeting.
Perdón, quiero pedir, por favor, si es posible, me pudieran proporcionar dentro de su agenda el día 20, tengo entendido que tienen una agenda más, tengo documentación en la que puedo acreditar con las minutas de las situaciones y de las alteraciones sobre las actas levantadas dentro de las juntas.
I have proof of everything I'm stated. I have proof of the changes that were made to the minutes. And if you could please give me time to share this information with you, I would really appreciate it.
La cuestión es de que a título personal me he visto afectada con mi niña. Mi niña ya asistió a la promoción de Chula Vista Miro y desafortunadamente aparecieron calificaciones y faltas de las cuales mi hija nunca ha faltado y se ha tomado, yo considero que se está tomando situaciones.
It's affected me in a personal way with my daughter. That she recently went through a promotion, and there were grades and absences that weren't hers, and they showed up on her information. So it's affected me personally.
He tenido ya voy para 8 años participando directamente, incondicionalmente en el sistema educativo y desafortunadamente no se ha perdido la oportunidad de tratar de obstaculizar el hecho de que yo siga participando y de manera incondicional y apoyando sobre todo a nuestros jóvenes en su educación en cuanto a...
So I've been participating for 8 years and it's been obstacleized by ways that it's been difficult, and I'm hoping that this can be clarified.
Las actas levantadas dentro de las juntas las juntas de DILAC es un documento oficial y público que debe de ser respetado como tal.
The DLAC minutes is a public document that should be respected and should stand as they are.
Al igual como ustedes, cuando levantan un acta, las minutas quedan de alguna manera protegidos en cuanto a lo establecido o las situaciones que se manejan dentro de esta junta.
It's the same as the minutes here. Whatever happens here is stated in the minutes and it remains on the minutes.
La cuestión es de que no nos han permitido el hecho de que abstenernos cuando se lleva a cabo las votaciones y única y exclusivamente nos dicen que tenemos que afirmar o negarnos a tener a la aprobación de cualquier acta.
So we're not allowed to abstain. We either have to vote for or against.
También quiero hacer referencia de que hubo un simposio en la Escuela del Rey.
There was a symposium at Rancho del Rey.
En donde desafortunadamente la doctora Pérez, yo le manifesté en tiempo y forma.
Unfortunately, Dr. Perez, I talked to her and I did it on a timely manner.
Que no se permitiera la presentación de esta persona.
To not allow this person to speak at the symposium.
El señor Villaseñor, toda vez de que era la persona menos indicada para llevar a cabo la apertura de algo tan importante como lo que es la reunión de tantos padres de familia y tantos estudiantes que requieren de información sobre seguridad.
So Dr. Villaseñor was the least person less likely to be the keynote speaker, where so many parents were going to be present, and there was so much information, important information that was going to be shared.
Hizo caso omiso, llevó a cabo la presentación y el señor expresó de que nuestros jóvenes eran unos burros genios. Es una verdadera falta de respeto tanto para los padres de familia como para todo estudiante y egresado de las escuelas, que el interés es tratar de sobresalir en su educación.
The gentleman stated that the children, that our students are genius asses, and it's really, I thought, inappropriate, especially in the education field, to express that in that manner.
Agradezco el tiempo y de alguna manera voy a estar, si me lo permiten, voy a asistir el día 20 de junio y de alguna manera trataré de estar en contacto con ustedes para que de alguna forma puedan tener alguna solución. El próximo año escolar no se puede volver a repetir una situación como esta.
I'll be in contact with you, and I'll be here on the 20th. Hopefully you'll be able to have some sort of resolution, because this can't happen the next school year. It can't be allowed to happen.
En todo momento estuve dispuesta en ofrecer recomendaciones de diferentes puntos y me fue obstruido para poder dar. El tiempo que se me daba era solamente 2 minutos. Lo pueden leer en los estatutos, pueden pedir copia a la superintendente. De hecho, en la junta superintendente le hice referencia de que si usted estaba de acuerdo de que se limitara el tiempo de los padres de familia en las juntas.
I also, many occasions I've tried to give my feedback, and I'm only given 2 minutes, you were there and you saw that I was only given 2 minutes, and I asked if you thought that was correct, to only limit the time to 2 minutes for comments.
Y usted manifestó que era el tiempo para darle el tiempo a los demás padres de familia.
And you said that that was enough time so all parents could have time to express their opinions.
Mas, sin embargo, no había padres de familia que quisieran participar y en todo momento a mí se me ponía el reloj.
There were no other parents willing to participate, but I was on the clock at every moment.
Les agradezco mucho la oportunidad de haberme dado para poder expresar mi inconformidad y sobre todo de que se tome cartas en el asunto. Estamos viviendo una situación compleja en cuanto a la salud mental de nuestros estudiantes y de alguna manera necesitamos apoyarlos. El número de profesionistas.
I thank you for your time, and we're in a crucial juncture with the mental well-being of our students, and it's very, very important that something is done.
Está reduciéndose generación tras generación. Si no hacemos algo ahorita, desafortunadamente las consecuencias las va a pagar todo el Estado en cuanto a la demanda de no tener los servicios necesarios para nuestras comunidades.
If we don't do something about it now, we're going to pay in the long run if we don't, with the lack of services for our communities.
Que tengan muy buenas tardes y gracias.
Thank you, and have a good afternoon.
All right.
No further speakers.
Thank you. Clerk of the board, would you please read the items being pulled from the consent agenda?
Yes, the following items have been pulled. F3, pulled by Mrs. Hall, Mr. Solis, and Mr. Tarantino. Item G1, pulled by Mrs. Hall. Item G2, pulled by Mrs. Hall. Item G3, pulled by Mrs. Hall. Item G5, pulled by Mrs. Hall and Mr. Tarantino. Item G10, pulled by Mr. Tarantino. Item H1, pulled by Mr. Tarantino. Item M1, pulled by Mr. Tarantino and the public. Item N1, pulled by Mr. Tarantino. And item Q1, pulled by the public.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Move to approve. I'll second.
I have a motion by Mr. Solis, second by Pike. Would you please call for the vote?
Solis?
Yes.
Pike?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Tarantino?
Yes.
Motion passes 4 yes, 1 absent.
So now we're on to F3, and I'll let Mr. Tarantino.
Yes. What I would like to know, probably through a Friday update, in our last meeting, I noticed that there's 3 nurses who will be retiring, and I was wondering what kind of support are we going to be giving to the new nurses who take their place? I know that it's, for some, it's a difficult transition, particularly those that are coming from a hospital setting, and there's a lot of different rules and regulations and responsibilities. So, do we have a plan to support the nurses who will be coming on board for the 2018-19 school year? And that's all I have.
Okay. Mr. Solis?
Yes, so through the president and the superintendent, I received a request from Principal Montaño and many of the teachers to have a meeting, a Board of Trustees meeting there. So if we can add Granger to the list. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And I pulled, because I had a few items from the audit subcommittee meeting, which was last month, that we needed to have. And one of them was that the subcommittee members receive a list of the people that are required to file the Form 700 with the, you know, the positions and things like that. And
Which position?
right, they don't need the names, but they need to know the list of who's required to file that, and what is the process for ensuring that it's filed. When you're missing one, what do you do, that kind of thing. If you could explain that and send that information out to the subcommittee. Also, if we developed in the subcommittee a calendar for, there were 3 pages to that for 3 different responsibilities. It's like a timeline calendar of what we're, and if we could have those, all 3 of them posted to the audit subcommittee website, but also copies of it remailed to the members because they didn't all have it. But it's, if it's posted to the website, like with a link so people can open it, they can check it and see whenever they wanted to have that. So that's what I requested from the audit subcommittee, and I'll just tell the board at this point that it was very positive meeting and we had a lot of good news come out of that. So that's all I have to say. All right. So now we'll go to item G1, the agreement between, oh wait, first I have to say, can we, no, that there's nothing to approve there, sorry. Item G1, the approval of agreement of services between Lutheran Social Services of Southern California Talent Search Program and the Sweetwater Union High School District for San Ysidro for the 2018-19 school year. So I pulled this because I'm wondering, like, there's 2 different, one's an upward bound, one's a talent search, one does some things a little differently, and they're targeting, are these agreements originated by the schools or by the district? That's my first question.
So let me get, just for clarification, are you asking that around all G1, 2, and 3? All 3 of them?
Really
Okay.
just kind of asking it
Okay.
in general for these items.
Ms. Alvarez?
Good evening, Ms. Hall, board members, Dr. Janney. So all of these TRIO programs are funded through the federal government, and they service students who are low income. Each of the 3 TRIO programs that we have service different schools in different communities, and we also follow up with supports for college applications, tutorials, college exposure, and other things that will increase our students that are first generation college students, college-bound students, and low income. Each year, the program itself is audited by the Department of Education and reports are provided. So each will provide a report on the actual number of students served, etc. Currently, we only have the 16-17. Through mid November, December, they will finalize their report. We'll also find out all the services that were provided this year. These are free, no-cost services to our schools. The way that we generate our agreements is they are through the district, but to serve particular schools.
So, thank you.
You're welcome.
So the grants are, these are grant programs?
So they pay for staff to come and provide services for our students. We don't get any direct money from them. They actually pay for the services for students.
So we don't get money from this? We're not exchanging money in this, paying for this agreement?
No, this is free. There's no, I don't believe there's any funding attached to it at all.
So why is it we don't have more schools being?
It's qualifications. So they look at the number of low-income students, the number of first-generation students, and with that, we're allocated supports.
So you're saying Sweetwater and Chula Vista and Sweetwater High and San Ysidro and Chula Vista have the highest number of low-income students and first-time?
So these aren't the only ones. We actually have a total of 9 different agreements. We have WAHUPA, we have some other agreements that we have with the agencies. So these are the ones that are up for renewal now. We tried to, when these programs initially were in student services, we took them on in teaching and learning to make sure that they were synchronized with the programs that we were running, and we were trying to align them on the same cycle. They're still not all on the same cycle. So we've aligned 3 of them to be on the same cycle at this time.
Okay, and I do remember the other ones. I just was kind of in general trying to get a grasp of how long that we've had these offered, where they were offered, and how we're measuring whether or not they're successful in what they're doing, and if we're doing any follow-up once students leave our district, and if applicants, how many applied, how many participated. Do we see any data that supports that this had an impact on either them raising their grades or being able to fill out a college application better and being accepted to colleges? And once accepted, if there's any data on whether or not they stayed in college and completed degrees, are we trying to do that at all?
So through the federal guidelines, they do need to do that. They collect data every single year. They collect the number of students that they serve, the applications that were submitted. They have about 6 elements that they have to meet in their report, in their annual report to the federal government. And so we do have that data. I have 16-17 data currently. The new data will not be finalized for their report until mid-November this year. So for the 17-18 school year, I won't have that data until about November. But I do have the 15-16, 16-17 data available.
Okay.
So it is measured annually. And they do follow
provided
students.
Some of that information to us as a board.
I did, yes,
before,
I did.
right?
I did that in January of this year.
Okay, that's what I figured, but when they keep popping up, you keep asking the questions.
No, definitely, and there's quite a few of them, so.
And do you expect them to be aligned, and so that the timing of when these agreements will be renewed will be probably?
Well, we're trying to do that. There are some agreements that instead of being year-to-year or 3-year agreements, so that's where we're having the problem in aligning some of them.
I think something on here was a 3-year agreement. I don't know if it was this one. But thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so I'll call for a motion to approve item G1.
I'll make a motion. Oh, are we going to do 2 and 3 also?
No, we'll just do one at a time for the sake of.
I'll make a motion for
You
G1.
can take them all 3 if you want to.
I'm going to take them.
Okay, that's fine.
I'll second.
Okay, call for the vote.
Solis?
Yes.
Pike?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Tarantino?
Yes.
Motion passes 4 yes, 1 absent.
Okay, G2. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second.
Call for the vote, please.
Solis?
Yes.
Pike?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Tarantino?
Yes.
Motion passes 4 yes, 1 absent.
Okay. And now we have item G4.
Oh, you need G3, ma'am.
G3. I thought that was what we just did. Okay. G3. Do I have a motion to approve G3?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
It's a good thing because that's how I marked G3. So, call for the vote, please.
Solis?
Yes.
Pike?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Tarantino?
Yes.
Motion passes 4 yes, 1 absent.
Right, so now we have item G4. Oh, that was on the consent agenda, correct?
Yes.
So now we have item G5, South Bay Community Services and Y, the renewal, and I pulled that item along with Mr. Tarantino. Would you like to pose your questions?
Sure. First of all, I'm glad to see that the sites have an option of which program to choose, and that's I think that's important because they know what program best fits their student population. So thank you for allowing that to happen. The thing that I was asking or would like to ask is there not necessarily an evaluation component, but can we get some year-end totals whenever it's convenient in terms of how many people went through and the kinds of services that were offered and stuff like that? Not this, because I think we've been through the question about evaluation and whose responsibility it is, and so just a kind of a summary of what the school year looked like for these programs. That would be helpful.
Would it help if we had a superintendent's update?
Yeah,
Friday
through that.
update?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So like participants and what kind of services they offered.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
By school.
By school, if that's easiest. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. That's all, Madam President. I have.
Thank you. I had similar questions, but I'd like to kind of find out what was the process of them being, how did they select? How did it get presented to them that they could do this or that? And then how long do some of those last? Because some may start up and then enrollment falls off in some of the different offerings. Because these aren't all tutoring, right? They're after-school programs, so it could be a lot of different activities that are offered. Is that correct?
So I believe you may have two questions within that one question. The first question is, how were the service providers selected? So last year we created the RFP process and we brought.
No, that
Okay.
I understand
Okay.
that part. It's when the school site gets a choice. How do they choose? Is that every year they get a choice?
They do every year. They get to interview and choose. At this point.
Okay, and then how long?
And we had, and I'm sorry, excuse my interruption, but we did have two schools that came on board this year, and so Chula Vista and San Isidro are new, and they selected one of the agencies based on the interviews.
Okay, thank you. And I was wondering about what they offered in their different programs.
So programs are based on student needs, and so at each site there's a survey conducted where in terms of the non-academic portion, surveys are conducted in the assets in the high schools for different enrichment programs, and so students, based on their need, programs are designed. At the middle school, they usually have the standard athletic program, and then they have the tutorial, and then they have other enrichment, also based on student surveys.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so if there's no more questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve item G5.
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second? Solis? I have a motion by Pike, second by Solis. Would you call for the vote, please?
Solis?
Yes.
Pike?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Tarantino?
Yes.
Motion passes 4 yes, 1 absent.
Item G10 is now on Mr. Tarantino. This is the Master Subscription Service Agreement between Instructure Incorporated and Sweetwater.
Yes, I just had wanted a point of clarification. Is the $200,000, is that per year or for all 3 years?
Ms. Alvarez,
I'm going to defer to Dr. Winters on that one.
Dr. Winters?
Good evening. That's per year.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else, Dr. Winters? You still got some time. All right.
I have a follow-up question for that. It has a, does it have a clause to where you could not continue the contract, or?
I don't believe it does. We have some metrics in place for the 3 years so that if we don't hit benchmarks after year 2, we're going to start piloting a different program.
Okay.
So, but I think the contract is for 3 years. There's probably something in there legally that says if they don't perform something that we're asking them to do, we could get rid of it, but I'm not sure. I defer to my lawyer for that.
All right, so we're obligated regardless if we have funds to pay for it or not.
It's another question. I don't know if we're bankrupt. I guess we could.
Yeah. Well, you
we're
never
not
know
looking forward to that. But
you never know what the future holds in California.
True.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Are there any other questions? No. Okay, so I'll call for a motion on G10.
I'll move approval.
I have a motion and a second. A motion by Tarantino, second by Solis. Would you call for the vote, please?
Solis?
Yes.
Pike?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Tarantino?
Yes.
Motion passes 4 yes, 1 absent.
We're just blowing through this thing, aren't we? All right. Okay, now where are we? We're on H1. And Mr. Tarantino.
Okay. I had a question about the $15,000 extra, and I read through the original MOU, and it was through the end of June. So I don't want to assume why we're paying that. So why are we paying the extra? If the original was through June 30th, then why is there a need for $15,000 extra?
Thanks. This is my
Dr.
item.
Fulcher, would you like to answer?
I would be happy to respond. Thank you so much. As you read in the previous contract, it does go until the end of June. However, the previous contract, the initial contract, was for $75,000. We have a difficult time predicting the number of foster and homeless students who will need services year after year. We ended up needing more support for our students this year, which necessitated an increase in the monies we're spending for tutoring. It's money that's been budgeted for tutoring already, but again, we took to the board what we thought we'd spend, hoping to save some. As it turns out, more students needed the support than we anticipated.
That's good. I'm glad we're spending it then. Thank you, Dr. Fulcher. That's all, Madam President.
Thank you. All right, if that's all the questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve item H1.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Mr. Solis, second by Mr. Pike. Call for the vote, please.
Solis?
Yes.
Pike?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes?
Tarantino?
Yes.
Motion passes 4 yes, 1 absent.
So now we are on item, wow. M1.
I have one speaker.
All right.
Nick Marinovich.
Make it quick. And over and under and getting out before 7:30, we got to make it. One to bed. You know, just a quick aside. You know, this is success. For those of us who sat in this audience with placards and yelling and screaming and everything, and when are we ever going to get out of here? It's like midnight, and hardly anybody shows up, hardly anybody pulls an item. This is success in government. Seriously, when you have a board meeting and gets out like this, it means you're doing your homework, and maybe the public is beginning to trust you.
Maybe.
Maybe. Maybe not. No. Depends on the day. Anyway. Did you get a haircut?
No, I just kind of
I know. Don't even talk about hair.
Me too. Did you notice mine?
Yeah,
was
look
a
at mine.
renovation. I did too. I tried.
Anyway, on this item, I spoke, or the committee has spoken. We spoke earlier. There's these consulting change orders, and it seems like the same consultants are showing up over and over. I did a search on just the thing, how many times BWE appeared since like 31 times in the last 3 years, kind of thing. So anyway, word to the wise, and I know Janae is working on a new list as we move forward, that we make sure we have open competition for all the consultants. And I know as a former staff member, it's very easy to get settled in. We always work with the people, and they do a good job. And about the other firms, they don't do such a good job. But it's important that we have periodic reviews of competition. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No further speakers.
Mr. Tarantino, you pulled this item.
Yeah, I just had a question in terms of the different costs for basically the same services. If you look at Bonita Vista High School, the 600 building modernization was $98,585. Bonita Middle, $71,585, and then San Ysidro High, $47,000. I'm assuming that the difference in cost is predicated on the size of the footprint of what the job is. I don't know. It's out of my league. So how come it's different?
Dr. Aguirre?
Yes, very good question. For Bonita Middle and Bonita High, in essence, what we're doing is also doing underground utility detection. Since San Ysidro is one of our newer campuses, we don't necessarily need to do that. So it's part of the scope of service.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, and also the whole campus at Bonita Middle and Bonita High. So because we anticipate additional work moving forward in the future, we're going to go ahead and survey the whole campus.
Okay.
Thank you.
That makes a lot of sense. It's part of the master plan project. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, is there any other questions? I'll entertain a motion to approve item M1.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Pike, second by Mr. Solis. Would you call for the vote, please?
Solis?
Yes.
Pike?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Tarantino?
Yes.
Motion passes 4 yes, 1 absent.
Thank you. Item M1. Mr. Tarantino pulled this item.
Yeah, the doors and locks. When I read the analysis or the recommendation, it sounds like the doors and locks and related hardware are required for use throughout the district, but yet when I saw the photographs of the locks and related hardware, it looked like the fob stuff that was going to Eastlake as a pilot. So I don't know, is this all part of it? Is it a wraparound thing, or is it, or what is it?
Dr. Aguirre?
Thank you, President Hall. In essence, this this item is to acquire and purchase the hardware. So it is the FOBs, and it's specific to Eastlake High School. As part of that pilot program, we're implementing to install the FOBs. So we believe that the analysis wasn't as accurate as it could have been. It's not for district-wide. It's specific to Eastlake.
Okay. It looked like it would be because of and thank you for including those photographs. Even though I only knew what I was looking at, the keypad and stuff, all the other stuff, I had no clue what it was for, but yeah, it looked like that, so thank you.
Dr. Janney?
So is that have anything to do with the language that's required for the bid, where it says the superintendent's recommendation? Is that part of the bid language?
I can follow up with the purchasing department because this is a collaboration. So our maintenance department puts together specifications.
Mhm.
The agenda items actually written up by the purchasing department.
Right.
So I can follow up and provide a Friday update. But that's where our team puts together the specs. And then purchasing. So it could be. I just want to make sure I speak from a place of following up, and then we can provide that.
Right, thank you. I didn't see where it said what resource was paying for the FOBs. Was it in there?
It's my recollection that it's from CFD, but there's some complement that's being provided by other resources. So let me clarify that, because again, I think the majority of this was actually being paid for out of the CFD funds for the hardware only. The reason it says various is because our maintenance department is actually going to be doing the staff, the labor part of it is going to be coming from the maintenance department.
Okay.
So that's where we try to minimize costs by having our staff actually doing the labor, and this is solely for purposes of purchasing the hardware.
Thank you. So if there's no further questions, I'll call for the vote on item N1. Do I have a motion? I need
I'll
a
move
motion
approval.
first.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Tarantino, second by Mr. Pike. Would you call for the vote, please?
Solis?
Yes.
Pike?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Tarantino?
Yes.
Motion passes 4 yes, 1 absent.
I have item Q1 pulled by the public, right?
Yes, 1 speaker, Kathleen Shears.
So I've been questioning this for 10 years, as have many others. What do school districts do that don't have CFDs? How do they manage to maintain a budget? And I understand a little bit, but when you look at the amounts we're borrowing, it's massive. So I just had to say that. Thank you very much.
No further speakers.
Dr. Janney, would you put that in a Friday up? I mean, we really can't answer for other districts, but you could possibly put a Friday update that says what are options that districts have if they're running low on cash to make their payroll or be warrant. Thank you. And then maybe we can. Okay, so I'll make a motion. I'll take a motion to approve item Q1.
So moved.
I'll second.
Please call for the vote.
Solis?
Yes.
Pike?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Tarantino?
Yes.
Motion passes 4 yes, 1 absent.
All right. So now we're on to board communication. Whoa. 7:24.
Wow. Let's not jinx
All
it
right.
yet.
Mr. Solis, would you like to share with us your comments?
Thantt you, Mrs.
All right.
Hill.
Let's give it
But, just real quick, just wanted to say I had a great time at the graduations. They're always amazing, and I had the pleasure of being the first one to accept the option secondary school promotion, 8th grade class, 15 students. It was beautiful. Parents, they were so happy to see their children graduate, and it was fantastic. It was quick, but it was the quickness of it. It was just the love in the air, and it was just fantastic. But all the graduations were great, and I had 5 on Tuesday, including my 2 little ones promoted from kindergarten. So that was good. But and also had the pleasure of going to our planning meeting at Sioux High, and a lot of the Granger folks were there, and they requested us to have a meeting there, and that there's a lot of passion there, and I think we do need to start looking at Granger, helping them out a little more. And I want to thank Mrs. Cheers for the kind words that she gave. And I wasn't going to speak at the time, but the passion that I felt from them, I had to say a little something.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Pike?
Yeah, I too had a great time with all my graduations. A lot of movement in the principals and vice principals, so there was a lot of sad faces and a lot of happy faces. And it was very, very touching to see the true feelings that the kids have for their administrators. And it was hot in some of the areas, and so some of the kids I heard from Hilltop had passed out because of the heat and things like that. So, but it was well worth it. Very nice, very well organized, and I was really happy to see all the parents out there, and everybody was in a very good mood, and it just all worked out real well. So I'm glad it's over. I'm glad we did it. It was fun.
Thank you. Mr. Tarantino?
Yeah, I'd like to begin by thanking all of the individuals at the various school sites for the time and effort that they put into compiling their site plans. If you really want to know what's going on at a school site, those are the roadmaps in terms of what goes on and how they spend their money and what their priorities are. And I know that takes a lot of time and a lot of work and a lot of effort. It's a team effort. And I just wanted to recognize the fact that we do appreciate the input that they provide in those plans. I'd like to thank Mr. Rubio and his team in Grants and Communications for a couple of things. For the support that they provide the board at graduations. I know that takes a lot of time and effort, and I want you to know that we do appreciate it. And then also for what has always been a yearly report on the valedictorians and the salutatorians that appear in the San Diego Union Tribune. And it's my understanding that we are the only district in San Diego County that does that, which says a lot about where our priorities are and the proactiveness of the Grants and Communication Department. So thank you, Manny, and please extend thanks to your team. I'd like to recognize Eric Spann for the summer meals program. We are going to be providing meals to students throughout the summer at a number of different locations, not only at our school sites, but I also understand Plaza Bonita, Plaza Bonita, and some other places. So that's a great service to our community, and yes, sometimes when school is not in session, our families don't have enough to provide for their families for food. So this is a good opportunity, and again, Dr. Aguirre, if you could extend thanks to Mr. Spann for that. I'd like to also thank Dr. Fulcher and the event committee that put together the Champions Celebration. I think that's what it was called. Champions Celebration, the recognition of our student population that are classified as homeless and foster youth. Great opportunity for them to not only share what their post-secondary goals and aspirations are, but also to recognize the obstacles that they have overcome, not only in their personal life, but also in their socioeconomic situation. Thanks to Ms. Griffin, Dorothy Griffin, who was in the audience tonight, for, again, another wonderful graduation for her parenting class, which is held at the IB Adult Center. You know, it's to see what these little people can do in terms of they know their alphabet, they sing these songs. We're saying hello to kindergarten and all these other things. I mean, it's just really cute. And the parents, when they get the certificates, they're so proud, and the joy that they have. And thank you, Dottie, for all that you do, and the fact that you go the extra mile to make everything in that class special. So thank you for that. And last but not least, I'd like to congratulate the class of 2018. And based on what I read in the San Diego Union yesterday, they are the first class of high school seniors born and raised in the new millennium. Wow. I'm thinking, wow. Let's just hope that they can take care of us when we get old. We are. As we get older, how's that, Mrs. Cheers? As we get older. I'm definitely afraid of Soylent Green. Okay, that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Tarantino, and I couldn't agree with you more that the graduations are really a time of celebration and a really, it's a good check-in about where we're at as a district with each school, showing what they've done with, how the students have been accomplished and supported and taught along the way to be at the successful point in their lives. You can see the exuberance on the students' faces and a little bit of fear occasionally because they don't know what's out there for them, but I know that they'll be successful. There were so many amazing stories and really great speeches, and at every school there's a different vibe, if I could say that. There's a different vibe on how those students are really presented and how they speak. I mean, I saw everything from very formal and straightforward talk, the normal talk, to very radical, how we can change and we can be the voice of change and we can make change, to some really comedic, some future comedians out there with their speeches. There's a whole range of really great students. And I want to say some amazing scholars as well. Gates Scholar out of Montgomery High. That's amazing. And he's not alone in the great accomplishments that have been done by students here at the district. So I want to thank all the teachers, the principals and administrators and the cabinet here for your leadership and the work you do every day. I also want to say thank you for Dr. Fulcher for the, and Ms. Ravenscroft and Ms. Palmore, because they have amazing work, and all the staff that were there for the homeless graduation, homeless and foster youth. All those students, it was really great to stop by the tables and talk to the students and ask them what they shared with what was important to them. And again, a whole range of personalities and people, but every one of them with a dream and a plan for tomorrow as they step out into a new adventure in their life. So that was really great to know that we, here at Sweetwater, it really is a family that cares and supports and guides people. And I know that they all have a lot of pride in who they are and that will carry them far. So I want to thank everyone. And I also wanted to congratulate, along with the others, Dr. Louisa Walker, who was here. I remember her back in the day. I remember her over the last few years, coming and being part of our board meetings. So I appreciate her work. And I also want to say congratulations to Carl Bradley, who is also going to be retiring here. So Mr. Bradley, we really appreciate your years of service, and we want to thank you for that and recognize it. So thank you for your service, and I know you're going to have a wonderful time after the 30th. So enjoy that. Yeah. So with that, we are adjourned. 7:34 p.m. Woo.